This is the brand new Nexx X.TR, and the Portuguese manufacturer says it sets the benchmark for sports touring innovation. Now, I've been riding in this helmet for quite a while on various bikes in various conditions to see if it actually does live up to their hype. So let's start by just having a quick run through of the construction and the features before we get on to the qualitative riding element. You can buy this helmet in two different shell material variations. You have this one, which is the X Pro Carbon. Alternatively, there's the X Matrix 2 composite fibre. There's some very slight differences between the two materials in what you get in the box when the helmet comes, but largely the difference between the two is the weight and the price, but I'll get onto that a little bit later on. Each helmet is offered in three shell sizes across the size range extra small to extra large. This particular helmet is the XC Pro Carbon Atlantic, which is finished in a beautiful deep gloss blue, and in the sunshine the carbon weave looks gorgeous. It's supplied with a clear visor, a Pinlock 200 Max Vision in the box, and a secondary iridium blue visor, which does look really good fitted. Now, Nexx do also offer a photochromic visor for this helmet, but to be honest, the fact that this has got a drop-down sun shield, I can't really see the point of that, but there is an option there for that if you want to go down that route. As with the other Nexx helmets, it's supplied with an optional side mount for an action camera fitting. There's an internal drop-down visor which comes down nice and low, has a good level of tint, and a nice easy action from the easy to locate control. The breath guard is removable, and visor replacements are quick and easy given the simple tool-free release mechanism. Simply squeeze the lever and the visor pops out to be lifted away. Refitting is as simple as lining up the locating pin and pushing the visor home until it clicks. It is a good fuss-free system. There's quick release cheek pads, a removable chin sock, and the helmet is fastened by way of a metal micrometric strap. The helmet is also ready for integrated comms with either the XCOM 3 or 3PO models available. The interior is plush, and fit-wise it's a pretty generic intermediate oval. Let me put it this way, if a showy or indeed a Nolan helmet fits you perfectly, then I think this is going to be right on the money. I think it's only really going to create problems for anybody that's got a really round head or an excessively long one. Ventilation comes from a single position chin opening and a two position central upper forehead vent, but more of the ease of use and the effect of that ventilation coming up in the riding section later on. I think that's probably enough in terms of the construction and the features. If you want to drill down any further, then there's plenty of information on the Nexx website, and I've left a link in the description for you to go away and have a look at that should you wish to. What I want to concentrate on is what it is like out riding. So let's start with the first subject, which is vision. One thing I like about this style of helmet is you've got an all-round road and touring helmet, but with a really big eyeball, and that makes visibility excellent, and that can only be a good thing. And when combined with the Pinlock Max 200, you get no intrusions in your vision, even at the extremities. Clarity is good too, both from the main visor and drop-down visor. And speaking of which, as I've already mentioned, the operation of this is very slick and smooth. It also sits far enough away from your face to easily accommodate glasses. One thing that I did notice, and it might be something you have to be careful with, is when you come to fit the pin lock that's in the box, it does seem to be quite sensitive to where it's positioned on the visor, to what kind of seal it brings. Now, obviously, that could be down to this individual pin lock. But the first ride in this helmet was on a cold, rainy day, and I found that it was fogging up pretty easily. I was disappointed in the performance, to be honest, but when I got home and checked, I discovered the pin lock sat just a fraction too high, and the seal hadn't seated on the visor properly. Once I'd adjusted it down just a fraction, I must admit I haven't had any more problems with it. So I think it's not an inherent problem with this visor and pin lock. As I said, it might just be this one. It might just have been user error where I've put it fractionally too high and it couldn't seat, but I thought I'd mention it, and it's obviously something that you just need to be careful when it comes to fit that. The seal around the top here does exactly what it should be doing when the visor is fully closed. The only time I got any water ingress underneath that was when I realized that I hadn't quite snapped this fully shut. To release the visor, there's a single push button in the front. Does what it needs to do, and you can do that pretty easily with your gloves on. Turning now to ventilation, which I think is one of this helmet's strong points. Although only an open or closed vent, the chin is positioned well on the helmet and allows lots of free flowing air which runs through the chin opening as well as deflecting up onto the visor. There's also a foam filter behind that to keep bugs and grit out, which is good to see. I've yet to experience it in hot weather, but having used it on a cold winter day, you can definitely feel how efficient the airflow is. The upper vent is equally effective. Open this fully and you can really feel the air flowing over the top of your head, helped by the mid airflow chamber, a small gap between the inner and outer EPS layers, which allows fast circulation through to the exhaust vents. Comfort wise, it's been very good. As I mentioned earlier, it should offer a good fit for intermediate oval head shapes, and the sizing is spot on. The cheek pads offer a nice big surface area, and the extended skirt on the neck roll keeps the wind noise to a minimum. If you fit the chin sock, which comes in the box as well, then that wind noise is very well isolated indeed. However, where noise is concerned, I did find one little niggle. When you ride at 50 miles an hour and above with the visor fully up, there's a definite whistle, but I found it does depend on what you're riding. Let me quantify it. It's not a loud, obtrusive, high-pitched whistle, more of a deeper hum. And although I didn't find it annoying, it is definitely noticeable, so worth mentioning in this review. Overall, I did find this to be a very comfortable, well-featured and well-finished helmet. Nexx seem to improve their quality with each new helmet, and the X.TR is no exception. In the past, even on helmets like the X.TR, some of the plastics on the fittings have, to be honest, felt a little bit cheap. But improvements are obvious on this helmet. It does have a premium feel. Whilst I'm not in a position yet to talk about how this will hold up over time, in the time that I have been riding it, it has been nice and balanced, it's felt taut, and there's been no squeaks, creaks or rattles. It weighs in at 1,656 grams on my scales with pin lock fitted ready to ride, which is within the weight indicated. So if you're looking for a new helmet this year, one that's going to work if you're commuting, touring and just general riding, then I think this is definitely something you should put on your shortlist. It looks great and it performs in the same manner too. Price wise, as I mentioned at the beginning, there are quite a few variations in the X.TR in terms of colours, finish and accessories. The most expensive being the Pro Carbon Atlantic Blue at $499.99. It drops to $479 for the black Carbon Zero Pro, with the rest of the carbon range coming in at $449.99. If you choose the multi-composite version, you'll pay $379.99 for graphics and $329.99 for plain colours. One thing to note is that the composite helmets don't come with a second visor, and they have a pin lock 120 XLT as opposed to the 200. Hopefully I've covered all of the main items on this. As ever, I would like to do an update once I've had at least a year in the helmet to see how it holds up. But if you do have any questions, then let me know in the comment section down below and I will come back to you as soon as I can. If you did find this video useful, then a like and subscribe is very much appreciated. I'm also testing the brand new X Rally from Nexx. So if your helmet desires lean more towards adventure dual sport, then keep an eye open on the channel for that one coming up in the near future.